So let's look at what we call the seller questionnaire. So if I'm getting really in depth with sellers, I want to ask them essentially these 29 questions. Now, you may skip over some questions, which is fine. There's no problem with that. And you have to let the conversation go kind of free flowing with the seller. When I'm talking with a seller and I get him on the phone and he wants to talk about selling his company, one of the things that I don't want to get caught into, okay, just give me an offer. No, I need to know information. Well, yeah, well, I just gave you some information. Come on, I'm in a hurry. Then you know what? This is not a good time for us to talk. I need about 30 minutes. Is this a good time or not? Well, no, I got 10 minutes. Well, then let's schedule a time because I need about 30 minutes. If they're not going to spend 30 minutes with you on the phone, they're not really serious about working with you. They just want to hear what your offer is. Make me an offer, put it in writing, I'll let you know. This is not the right kind of deal. The tail is wagging the dog. You're the dog, you need to wag the tail. The seller's the tail. Everybody with me? You got to stay in control. So are the sales greater than $1,000, less than 30 million? Okay, cool. Has it been in business for 3 or more years? That's preferable, but you may not always get that. You can have a hot e-commerce company that's only a year old and it's doing phenomenal. It's got $1 million a year in sales, $400,000 or $500,000 in profit. It's on a path like this. Well, why not take it over now before it takes it to the next level and gets more expensive? Is there a big market for their product? So if there's a big market, if people want the product, then that means you could sell more and more of it. If it's a very limited thing that not many people can use, if it's limited, you need to be able to charge a lot for it. But if it's mass market, you typically charge lower, right? Supply and demand. Do they have financial statements? We prefer audited. Almost never will you get audited or compiled. You'll probably get spreadsheets. Well, I don't know, because they just don't know what they're doing. They're a small owner operator. They've got a business. They're making a profit. They're figuring it out. They got a basic accountant does their taxes at the end of the year, and you ask them for a profit loss and a balance sheet, and they go, well, let me ask my accountant for that, because they don't know how to pull it. It just makes it, when companies are in the position you're talking about, or they have debt and stuff like that, the value of the company in the seller's mind is almost zero. They're trying to figure out, why would somebody want to buy my company? Because they don't know how to manage the financials of the business and work it correctly. One of the things that I like about companies that have too much debt is that I can step in and take over the company for just the debt. But what they don't know is that, for instance, back in the 90s, I had one of the very first debt settlement companies for consumers. So we used to do debt settlement and corporate debt settlement. So we would negotiate our settlements for corporations and individuals. We would do it by fax machine. You all remember what fax machines are, right? So we do it by that. Now we can do it by email. So if somebody has debt, I know this example will come up later, but I'll share it now because I think it's appropriate. Does anybody remember the throat spray company in any of the webinars that I did? Okay, so that's a very simple example. Let me repeat it for everybody else that hasn't heard it. So there was this throat spray company that we're looking at, and the owner's name, her name was Osha. And when I talked with Osha, and by the way, this deal was brought to me by one of my partners. Anyway, so Osha, when I talked to her on the phone, I said, well, Osha, why are you selling the business? She says, well, first off, Mike, I don't know how to run a business. I've had this business for 13 years, and she makes about $115,000 a year in gross sales. And she thinks she does about $65,000 a year in profit, is what she thinks. But she says she doesn't know how to run the business. She's not a business person. What she is she's really good at building relationships. She has this throat spray company. She has lots of celebrities and bands and band crews that endorse the product, support it. She's got videos and all this stuff, but doesn't know how to market. And in the last 13 years, she's never gotten above where she is now on the annual gross sales. She's in Guitar Center and a few of them doing well. Right now, she also has $40,000 in debt on the business, and she's actually behind on her payments. So the supplier is threatening to cut off her shipments, which will affect her contracts with Guitar Center. So she's in a world of hurt. She doesn't know what to do. Now, since you already know a little bit of what the future is, ignore the future and look at that deal as it is on the moment. How many of you would be interested in a deal? Be honest. Ignore, you already know I did the deal. So ignore that. I'm asking ignore. If it came to you as that, what I just said, how many of you would ignore the deal? And it's okay, regardless what's your answer. Who would ignore it? Okay. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. What I'm trying to suggest is look just a little bit deeper and see what the problem is. The problem is her. She's the problem. She doesn't know how to run a business. She acknowledges that freely, that she doesn't know how to run the business. So she wanted to sell it for $150,000. We ended up structuring the deal, and this took me 2 phone calls, a max of about 30 to 45 minutes. And we structured the deal, instead of a purchase price of $150,000, we bought it for $15,000. In the 15, we also agreed that we would attempt to settle the outstanding debt. I didn't say that I would. I didn't say that I guaranteed it. Her big pressure point is, they're going to sue me. I need you to take care of that debt. I said, I will do my best, but I can't guarantee anything. I was very clear with her that I can't guarantee that. Is everybody with me so far? Okay. So we agreed to buy it for 15, but I structured the 15,000 this way: $3,000 today and $3,000 a month for the next 4 months. Now the company's making about 65 from her perspective that we can see. So where do I get the additional 3 months or $3,000 a month for the next 4 months? Where do you think I get it from? Hopefully from the cash flow. But right now my product is being delayed because they're not being paid. Do you see the problem? This is a company that's got 1 foot in the grave, about to go under. So I said, okay, so we negotiated a deal. She's out, $3,000 now, and I will attempt to negotiate the debt. So what we did is we did an asset purchase. I created another company. We transferred all the assets, including the name, the formula, any accounts receivable, the relationships, the contracts. We transferred everything over to the new entity. So here was this company. Here was a new one, which had all the assets. This company still owed $40,000 in debt. I don't know if it owed back taxes or not. I don't know if the taxes were done correctly or not. But I figured if she's already messed up at the stuff with the vendor, there's a possibility there may be an audit on this stuff somewhere down the road. I don't want to take over the company. Whenever I have doubt, I'm like, peace out. I want something over here. Okay. So I moved all the assets over to here. And then once I did that, and only after I did that, I made a phone call to the vendor. I said, hey, my name's Mike Warren. I'm a Security Equity Group. We just recently bought this company. We understand that you guys have some outstanding bills. We want to see what we can work out and keep the relationship alive. And they said, yes, so she owes us $40,000 in debt. She hasn't paid. We're really mad. We're upset. And she hasn't paid. We're going to sue her, and, we're not releasing the product. And I said, okay. I said, I would like to get the product, and I would like to keep this relationship as opposed to going to a whole nother factory and having it produced there, which, I can do. What can we do to keep our relationship alive so that I can use you as our preferred vendor in doing this? It went back and forth. No, we're not going to do anything, or, all right, we'll release the bottles, but we want to sell the bottles to you at a premium and you pay us cash today. No, not going to do that. I don't need it. I'll just go to another factory. All right, well, then we'll sell it to you. So every bottle that you sell, we want to charge an extra $1 or $1.50 on each bottle until we get all of our money back. Sorry, no, I'm not going to do that because I can go to another factory and just do it right over. I'm not going to pay anything more than what I can do right now. So we went back and forth, negotiated a little bit. This actually took about, if memory serves, between 20, 25 minutes. It wasn't that long. Having a conversation, just staying in the conversation with the business itself, to ultimately they said, okay, here's what we'll do. Are you guaranteeing that Osha is out and we will never have to deal with her again? Yes, she's out. You'll never have to deal with her again. Fine. We will release the bottles to you at the exact same price. We want it on cash on delivery though. We're not going to do net 30, net 60. I said, no problem. I'll prove that we can pay for it. We can be a good customer. And then over time, we can see about talking about terms, but not anytime soon. We'll pay for it all in advance. Said, no problem. So what they essentially did is they wiped out the $40,000 in debt for zero. They got nothing for it, released all the bottles through our different companies so we could fill it all. We bought it as is, as we went, cash delivery. Now we're in almost 400 stores around the country, and also moving into the UK and Australia and Canada. So now it's a 7-figure business, and we got it for $3,000 down, of which the company paid the $3,000 back in month 5. Do y'all get that? How many of you think that's a good deal?
Osha's company. Did you take ownership of that company or not? Did you take
I did not take ownership of the company. I bought the assets in the company.
You bought the assets from. So
Correct.
you didn't purchase that company and then transfer it to another entity
No.
you owned.
I created a company and I bought its assets.
Yeah.
For $3,000 and $3,000 a month for 4 months.
Yeah. Okay.
That company stayed hers, and I could care less. And the other thing that was really nice about it in this particular deal is the throat spray was not the product I really wanted. She had 14 different formulas, 14 different products, and the only one that she'd been able to really make money with was the throat spray because that's what she focused on. What I was actually interested in the most was this hangover formula. That's what I really wanted.
Mike, you said you're going to assume the loan when you buy the business?
No, I did not. I did not assume anything.
Okay.
I didn't assume a loan. I said I would attempt to negotiate a payoff on the debt. I didn't assume anything.
But how the loan is paid off? Let's say if you don't negotiate it, how the previous owner will pay the loan?
I didn't pay the loan. They agreed to wipe it out.
Wipe it out. Okay.
They wiped it out for zero. They agreed to write it off the books as a loss.
Yeah.
Sue her then.
So you're not giving any guarantee.
You need to understand the structure. Who owns the assets?
Owner.
I own the assets.
Okay, now you own.
Who owns the debt?
Previous owner.
She does. She said, well, we're just going to take it to court. I said, you're more than welcome to take it to court. Go ahead. And you know what? You take it to court and she probably won't even show. You'll win. But you're going to spend about $5 or $10 grand to get your attorney to go do that. The challenge is you already know she doesn't have the ability to pay the bills. She's got one foot in a bankruptcy grave. You're going to get a judgment. Cool. You got it. You're happy. And then she's going to go bankrupt and wipe it out. And you're going to get nothing. You don't know she has nothing because she can't pay the bills. When I had the conversation, I said, I'm not telling anything that you don't know. But I know from one business to an owner, we look at, okay, how do we minimize our losses and move on and keep making additional sales? I'm giving you a solution that says, I want to continue to buy stuff from you. And I want to buy more and more. I'm willing to pay cash for it as we go to build up the relationship. She's out. You can sue her. Nothing I can do to stop you. If I were in your shoes, I might want to do that myself. All these things I said. And then they have to make a decision, right? The guy I was talking to was the VP, and he has to say, well, I have to go to my CEO and explain to him why we're not getting paid. I'm like, I get that, but you already know you're not getting paid. It's not rocket science. It's not new news. You already know that you're not getting paid.
What if the previous owner had asset-based loan already? Asset-based loan.
Well, they had an asset-based loan on it in that they had the product and they weren't going to release the product until they got paid.
Okay.
They already had it. So technically they thought they had me over a barrel. And I said, you know, I'm not going to pay for it. It's them. I'm sorry that she did that, but I'm somebody new. I'm starting new behavior. You could hold on to the product. If you choose to do that, that's fine. I'm going to go someplace else where I can get it just a little bit cheaper because I'm not going to pay for it and additional. I'm just not going to do that. I would rather stay with you because it's already set up. We already know exactly how it works. Everything's nice and simple. I'd rather stay with you if you'll let me. They make a decision, and they made the right one.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Right?
Where did the student find the deal?
Say again?
Where did the student find the deal?
Craigslist, if I remember correctly.